A little while ago, a friend of mine had an idea for making your own wires. So I decided to try it out for myself, and this is the final result. The wire is 30 AWG ribbon cable. It's a stranded core wire and has thick rubber insulation. This makes it quite a bit softer than conventional epee wires, and my hope is that these characteristics also make it more durable and give it better adhesion to the blade. The cap is a replica of the German design and was made with an MSLA printer. The internal contacts are copper and soldered to the wires at the base. Now with that out of the way, I'll show you how I made them. So the first part is to make the electrodes. So for that, I have this 1 millimeter diameter copper rod, and then I have this little gauge that I made, which is just a 4.1 millimeter thick piece of plastic with a hole through the center. So what I do there is I just place it against this little plate for backing. Then I take the rod. I use the flush cutters to make sure I have a perfectly flat end. Press it through. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this pressure and then use the flush cutters to push down on the block and stabilize it. And then just snip. So there's one of my contacts. Now, because the flush cutters, because of their shape, they will cut flat on one side and then kind of this sharp point on the other. So I just trim that off, and then I repeat. That in, press to the bottom. And there's my 2 electrodes. Now, I take the cap, and I'm going to use the tweezers to just slip the electrode into the hole. Do it there. That is something you have to be careful about with these, is the contacts like to go flying. Fortunately, I was able to find that one, although if I couldn't, it's pretty trivial to make more. Now, on this particular version of the print, the holes for the contacts are pretty loose, and so they just kind of slide in. So on the one hand, that's nice that they go in easy, but I don't really like that because it makes them not stick so well when it's inverted. So if there's a bit more friction kind of holding them in place, I would like that. But it's okay, it's not the end of the world. So now what I do is I take a very thin piece of tape, and then I just kind of roll it up. Then fold it in half. And that's going to be used to kind of press up on the contacts and make sure that they stay in place. So now, I need to bend it along the length a little bit. And send it flying. All right. Need to make another one. Annoying, but not the end of the world. press that, and that should be good enough. If it didn't, yes, excellent. Okay, so I take that and I press it in. Then I'm just going to take this and press down, and then fasten it on either side. I have it sitting in this. Then I'm going to take the solder paste and I do like to reuse it where possible, but in this case, I think I just need to clean the nozzle off. So I'm going to put the tip of the needle right up to the opening and just slowly press. And once I see it start to spill a little over the edge, I stop. And then I do the same thing on the other side. Here we go. All right. And then I move over to the so now I take this and I just use the alligator clips to hold it by pinching the tape. And the reason I'm doing this instead of using the alligator clips to directly hold the cap is because I'm going to need to heat this in order to melt the solder paste. And so what happens is if the cap itself gets heated, then it will soften the material and the alligator clips will destroy it. So this is much more gentle on the material and doesn't break to do that. Okay, so now take the wire. And I'm just going to use this X-Acto knife, press against the tip in order to start separating it. Okay. Those. It gets a little bit easier. And that should be about enough. Then I take this wire stripper. And because this is a stranded wire, I just want to twist them together a little bit. So after I do that on both sides, now I just use the tweezers to pull them in half. And so this gives me just a little bit more of a contact area, which hopefully makes it easier to get a strong connection. There we are, that seems good. That's a little better. Just this. Okay. That's reasonably good. Now I'm going to take this and this thing one and to that. And then the other. Alright. And that's good. So now I need to just get the heat gun and then plug it in. Okay, so I blasted with the gun for a bit. It's a little bit tricky to judge exactly how well the solder has melted, but I just kind of look until I see a little bit of bubbling, and you can kind of see it sometimes form contacts with the electrodes. Then I give it a little bit to cool off. I kind of wiggle the wires a little bit with the tweezers, and I can feel, okay, these are attached. So then I just release everything. It's still a bit hot. I maybe should wait a little bit to do all this, but I don't really need to. I use X-Acto knife to cut the tape off because I'm trying to be as gentle as possible on the cap, which is still a bit hot. It's still a little bit soft. All right, there you go. That is our wire. There's the contacts. From the side and from the bottom. And as you can see, there is a little bit of exposed wire and solder. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. In this case, it's probably fine, although if I wanted to be extra safe, I would just paint over it with a layer of super glue. But yeah, that's about it. That's how I made these wires. And the next part is to try putting them on a blade and see how they work.